Hi, everybody. Welcome back to my LinkedIn Lives. I'm Jasmine Navarre, certified wellbeing expert, working with educational institutions and companies, helping them support their family wellbeing challenges. And as you know, every week I interview different experts who make a difference. And today I'm super excited to be interviewing Reim. Reim, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
Me too. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
We only have 30 minutes, so I'm going to keep this super concise. But ultimately, I'm very, very passionate about the world of film and TV, and creating content and getting people more visible. Whether you're a professional, you're an individual, you're a CEO, you're a brand, it's what do you need to do to get out there and really stand out and start attracting all those opportunities? And that looks like different things for different people. So we produce TV shows. We have a daily TV show on air at the moment with Dubai One. We produce a lot of social media content, animated content, do a lot of training. So it's a whole world of things that we do. But ultimately, it's how do we get you to be more visible and stand out to attract what you need to attract.
Wow. So you mentioned you worked with business professionals and CEOs. So why is being visible so important for them? Like, why is being visible important?
So I actually believe that we are in an era right now where visibility is in your reach. So like I grew up behind the camera and I always used to feel like, what's so special about all these famous people that we follow and watch? Like, why is it that they've garnered this following and they've
Yeah.
garnered like these kind of huge rates? And how did that happen? And it really made me think, you know what? They're just doing their job. We're watching them do their job. They're doing it well. We're watching them do their job well. And that's how fame happens, right? But we're now in an era, especially with, the rise in mobile phones and everyone getting more comfortable on social media, where it's in your own grasp. Everyone out there has the ability to become more visible. And I really
Yeah.
believe it's just about embracing your knowledge, embracing your niche, and putting content out there, because there's so many people who want to learn. So why not learn from you? And when it comes to CEOs, I mean, you may be surprised to hear this. I'm not sure if you know these stats, but if you
Yeah.
were to guess what's the percentage of people, if they watch a CEO on social media, they're following a
Right.
CEO on social media,
Yeah.
the chances that they're more likely to work with you. Any ideas what the percentage is if they're following you on social media?
Oh, I don't know. I have no idea, actually.
It's as high as 77%. So 77% of
Ah,
people are more likely to do business with a company if they're following the CEO on social media, which means people have an interest, right? They want to build that connection. They want to be able to see you, just understand a bit more about your mind frame. But even more than that, the percentage of people who watch a video of you who are
oh,
more
yeah, that's
likely
what
to
I
do
was going to say.
business. Any guesses what that percentage is?
I guess it has to be higher than 77.
It's not higher, it's 66. So
Oh,
66,
really? It's not higher.
not
Okay.
higher. Still, like 66% of people are more likely to do business with you, business with a company, if they've watched the CEO on camera. So I sit
Oh,
there with people and they're like, oh, do I really need to be on camera? Is this really for me? And I'm like,
exactly.
well, sure, you don't have to be, but there's 66% of people who are more likely to do business with you if you are. So those odds are pretty high. And it goes to show like people want to connect with people at the end of the day. I mean, think about how we're doing a LinkedIn Live, and especially with LinkedIn, people connect with people. What's the likelihood that you're following their company? Probably not as high as, following what they're up to on a day-to-day level. So it's quite important that you're out there and you're showing people, what you do, and sharing your knowledge and supporting them and adding value. Because the more value you add, the higher the chances are that they're going to want to work with you and come back to you in the future.
Wow, no, that's really interesting. So being visible with video is important for everybody who definitely has something to sell.
Everybody, it's not even selling. Like
No.
so I happen to be very involved in a number of networks, and one of the networks that I'm really involved in is BNI. I'm a regional
Oh,
director.
okay. Oh,
And
really?
something I learned there a long time ago, so all the BNI members watching will know this, is the power of VCP, which is being visible, 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 visible. And then C is the credibility. If you're adding value and you're being credible on a consistent basis, it'll eventually lead to the P, which is the profitability, right?
Oh, okay.
That really makes sense in the world of video. I need to see you, 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 so that you're top of mind, right? And then if you're credible and you're adding value to me, you're adding knowledge, information I didn't know before. Now I see you and you're valuable. Right? When it comes to that point in time where I need support with that product or service, you're going to be the first person I think about because I've been watching you and learning from you. So now I'm ready to spend with you. And I think that's where people have a missing link. They post one video, they post 2 videos, maybe they're consistent for like a month. And then they're like, oh, it didn't work. I'm like, really? I'm like, yeah. And like, how many did you post? How long did you go on for? Like, oh, well, nobody liked them. It takes time, it's one of those things where it can really take, just to throw it out there, any guesses on average, how long it takes before someone goes, oh yeah, I've been watching your videos. I like your videos. If you were to guess, how long do you think it takes?
I'm sure it's a long time, but I don't know. A year?
It's actually not a year. It's around 3 months before it's around 3 months of you being consistent.
Okay.
Of you being consistently posting video content before someone goes, oh yeah, I've watched your videos. Oh, great, good job. That's not a sale. That's just them being aware.
Yes.
Wow. So I think if you haven't even lasted a month, 2 months, and you've dropped off, you can't be expecting a sale. It's like you need to build trust, right? And video does that really well in terms of building trust. I learned recently in the US, the number one industry where video is prominent is the medical industry. Because think about it. If you're sick, you're Googling a doctor, you want to find out which hospital, is the right one for you. You will go with the option that has the most visibility online. So if you're seeing videos of the doctors, seeing videos of the facilities, that gives you comfort. You're like, okay, it seems like a trustworthy guy. The facilities look clean. You start to make those judgments on where to go based on the content that you find. So it's important for you to be as visible as possible, but be as credible as possible and provide information that people are searching for.
Wow, no, that's really, really interesting. And so talking about videos then, like you said about being credible, so what kind of content should you put in your videos? Because I don't know, it could be, is it every day? I mean, how long should the videos be? How frequent should they be? And what content should it be? Because I guess that can be overwhelming.
Yeah, there were so many questions in there. But
sorry.
I think ultimately when it comes to duration, different durations work for different purposes at different times.
Right,
so generally speaking, the way I look at it is step 1 is you want to attract an audience. So if someone doesn't know you, they're not going to invest a long time with you. So when I think about someone sending me a video, any kind of video, the first thing I look at is the duration. If it's gone over a minute, I don't have time. That's literally the first thing I look at. It's like, oh my God, it's over a minute. I can't be bothered with this. But if it's under a minute, I'm ready to press play. Wow. So you want to make sure that you have a whole batch of videos. Your first batch of videos are under a minute long and they're adding value so that if I see it, oh, that was useful, I'll make an effort to watch the next one, and I'll make an effort to watch the next one. So keep them short, keep them concise, adding value. That's attracting, right? Attracting.
Okay.
Once you have a funnel, once you have a group of individuals who, they watch everything you send, they're fans, they will watch longer content. They will watch the interviews, the podcasts. You've obviously got a followership now, so they're probably watching this 30-minute live because they know you, they trust you. But that doesn't happen straight away. So
not sure.
Yeah. So my advice is always start short. Start with short 1-minute bites. The key thing to this is make sure you're adding value. So coming to your second question of what type of video should you be producing? Think about your own business and think about the frequently asked questions that you get asked regularly, right? And what I would genuinely do is you take that list and answer each question in a separate video. Because ultimately, the most Googled words are how to and how do I. So people are always going online to get answers to their questions. So you want your videos to pop up at the top the minute someone asks a question. So use that as a strategy to decide what your content is going to be. I have having said that, I run a number of workshops where I have a formula to help you break down all of the content in your head, because that's another mistake I see all the time. People want to put everything they know under the sun in one video, and then they run out of things to say. The key is break it down to the lowest common denominator so that that can be spread out for as long as possible, and just add one key fact or one key tip per video. That's all people need. They need one key takeaway, so that I've walked away learning something. If you've bombarded me with information, the likelihood is I haven't absorbed it and I haven't taken it away. So keep it focused on one key tip. The other thing I would say is that there are different types of videos. So you could look at testimonial videos, do very well. Get your customers to do videos for you. You can look at demonstration videos, because not everyone has, a fun business or a very appealing or a business. You have, don't mean to be mean, but you have accountants and lawyers who their businesses they're not as visual, right? They're not as visual. So what do they do? The most successful videos they can do are how-tos. Do screen grabs of your screen. Show people how to use accounting software. Show them, what is the right way to calculate VAT, whatever it is you want to do. But using the software that you utilize and using demonstrations, you'd be surprised how many people then follow those videos because they want to learn. At the end of the day, people go online to either be educated or entertained. And unless you're really funny or have a skill or a talent, education is easier to achieve, because everyone here is an expert in their field. And it's how do you take that expertise and break it down and add value to the people watching.
Wow, I love that. I've written some of that down, by the way, for myself. Hi, Ibhab, how are you doing? Let's go, Reem, he says. And hello, everybody else who's joining. Please let us know if you have any questions or comments. We would love to answer them. And it's always good to hear from you as well. Yeah, no, so interesting that you said just one thing, because I think that's why some people might get stuck, because they want to say everything and they don't know what. And they think it's not enough. But you're right, simplicity is probably key, isn't it?
I mean, just to give you an example, I once watched a video by an accountant, and it was really short. I think it was under 20 seconds. All she said was like, "Are you trying to cut down on your bills? I'm going to give you one key tip. Go into your inbox, find out all of the sites that you're subscribed to, and just do an audit and unsubscribe. And you'd be surprised how much money you save just by unsubscribing to all of those sites that you subscribe to. Check it out. Let me know how you get along." It was that simple. It was like 20 seconds, 30 seconds. But it was enough. It was enough to make me think like, oh, I haven't done that in a while. Let me go into my inbox. Oh, maybe I can start unsubscribing from a few of these services. And it was a valuable piece of advice. It was a good tip, and it actually had the result. And it made me think, what other tips does she have? Let me keep watching. That's the goal,
Yes. And it gave you sort of a manageable, easy tip to do straight away. Whereas if she had just given you too many things, you probably wouldn't have done any of them.
Exactly. It's like, you've given me that one key takeaway. I'm going to go and apply it. And now that I've applied it and it's worked, I want to come back and watch more. I want more. I will subscribe and follow you. And that's the key. If you remember to add value, add knowledge, give them something that they can take away, they will keep coming back.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And that actually comes to another question that I have in terms of, how perfect does this video have to be? Because, some people might spend so much time trying to make it perfect or trying to say the right things, but that maybe people are not related. It's not relatable if it's too perfect as well. So I don't know how you feel about that. How perfect should it be?
So I think that's an excellent question. And I am someone who does my best to stay balanced in terms of the type of content that I put out there and the quality of that content, because I do think that there's a space for both. It's not either or. It's not that you can just stick to all of your kind of phone videos or you just have fully polished content. I think there's room for both. So to put this in perspective, if anyone follows me on Instagram, you'll see that a lot of the content that I put out on Instagram is a little bit more raw. It's maybe not as well polished, but that's usually all stuff I've done on my own on my phone. And that works because it's relatable and sometimes it's a bit more personal. But people like to connect with the person behind the business. And I find that even that content, brings in a certain audience. However, On LinkedIn, most of my content is more polished. And not just that, I happen to run a video company. So yes, I do have the resources. But even with that, I think roughly it's about one video a week that I post that is
Okay.
a polished piece of content. But that's also because I work with government entities. I work with government entities. I work with large multinationals. I work with brands. And I truly believe perception is reality. Like, I don't want to appear to be positioning myself with low quality content when I'm targeting high quality clients. So I
Right.
think you need to think, who is consuming your content and what is your objective at the end of the day? If your objective is sales and you're trying to reach or work with a certain client base, you do need to create content that will appeal to them or resonate with them or reassure them that you can deliver at a certain standard, and that does mean your content needs to be of that standard. So that's why I think it's different approaches depending on your objective and depending on who you're trying to reach. So my LinkedIn style is a lot more polished than my Instagram style, and it shows, and I get the results correlate. So I do get inquiries from LinkedIn. I do get DMs. I do get a lot of people who are either interested in any of our training workshops or in me consulting or in actual video content production, because they've seen the quality of my trainings or my content on LinkedIn. On Instagram, it's a lot more casual.
Sorry, so on Instagram then, who are you talking to on Instagram? So you wouldn't be talking to the government entities or big organizations then?
I don't expect them to be there. I think
Okay.
at least for me, most of my client base is on LinkedIn. So I'm very conscious of the public profile and I'm conscious of how my work is perceived on LinkedIn. On Instagram, I think there's a more casual approach. I know that I have a lot of, as everyone does, friends, family, colleagues, more of your
Yeah.
social circle on Instagram. Having said that, you shouldn't rule it out. There is potential business to be made on Instagram, and I think it depends on the business. So if you happen to be a coach or be in the lifestyle space or in the fashion space or the food space, Instagram is an amazing place for you because it's a visual platform. So it's a great place to show off like photos and videos of your product. It's just with the kind of content and the kind of clients I have, I know they're on LinkedIn, which is why I focus more there.
Okay. No, interesting. So really, if you're aiming for government entities or big organizations, then maybe it is a good idea to invest in somebody to help you with these videos.
I just think about, we're all very judgmental, and you could be the best. You could be the best coach, the best expert, the best of everything. But if your content doesn't match, then I start wondering like, how great are they really? And that's why I really believe perception is reality. It may be the saddest thing, but if you're not really putting yourself out there in that light, are you going to still attract those opportunities? And that brings me all the way back down to what we started with. It's like, and my core phrase I tell everybody, if you're not visible, you're invisible.
Wow.
So you need to do your best to be as visible as possible in the way you want to be visible to attract the opportunities that you want.
No, brilliant. No, very, very, very useful. Thank you so much, Reem. So, and the next thing, I think we talked slightly about this, like how often should you post these videos? Even if they're really professional or homemade, like how often? Because you mentioned consistency, but is it one video a week for a year or?
That's probably the best formula, because I genuinely believe that you need to stick with what you can actually achieve on a regular basis.
Okay.
So if it means one video a week, then do one video a week. If it means you're able to do 2 videos a week, do 2 videos a week. Just have that consistency, because that's what starts to change the game. When people can rely on you and they know that the content is coming and it's you're adding value on a regular basis.
Okay.
Having said that, I keep hearing things. I'm a big fan of like Gary Vee, and he's obviously got a massive team behind him. And the last thing I heard was like putting out 14 pieces of content a day,
No
which
way.
But that's also the power of repurposing. So for example, you create a long form like this, you create a 30-minute, piece of webinar like this, and then it's like cutting it down and taking shorter snippets and then videos and photos and turning it into a blog. And it's how do you repurpose one big piece of content and create multiple shorter pieces to enable you to reach more people on more platforms. That becomes a bit more of a project.
Yes.
I can see more and more people doing that. And I would say at a minimum, so what I do is I have one polished piece of video a week, and I
Okay.
try and be consistent. I do post on LinkedIn every day. So that for me has turned into business development. Like, I remember back in the day, people were like, oh, social media is such a waste of time. I can't believe you're spending all your time on social media. And it's like, actually, the minute you stop thinking of it that way and you start realizing that's where my customer base is, and this is my business development time, and me, there's a huge difference between a day I post something and a day I don't. The days that I do, there's a
Oh,
higher chance.
really?
Huge. Like, my literally, it's a conversation I had a couple of months ago with my team. I'm very big into Tony Robbins and I've done a lot of his
Oh, yeah,
workshops.
yeah.
We were kind of assessing, like, where's the best use of our time in terms of like getting that reward on time investment. And I actually asked my team, like, where do you think is the best use of my time?
Yeah.
And the majority of them said on social media. Because like the more I do in the space, every time I post, we get a DM. Someone asks a question. There's an opportunity that comes in. There's a new client that comes in. So I know it's not a waste of time. I know it's
Yes.
worth putting. But I want to add to that. It's taken me ages to get to this point.
How
So
long?
I think it's been roughly about, I want to say 2 to 3 years of being consistent, where I now know that if I post every day this week, something will come out of this week in terms of opportunity
Wow.
or exposure, or sometimes a direct client. But that's because people aren't seeing me for the first time. They've been seeing me for a while. So I've
Yeah.
built that credibility. So it goes all the way back to VCP. The visibility, I've been visible, credible, and now profitable. And sometimes they're old. They've been following me for a long time. So I have people who saw my
Yeah.
first webinars in COVID, and only just
Yes.
converted
Yeah.
last 2
Yeah.
you know.
Exactly.
So
There are,
it's
yeah.
thinking long term. It's actually realizing that every piece of content you put out there is working for you all the time. So you never know when people stumble upon that content, when they finally consume it. Or the second thing to really think about is when they're ready, because they're not always ready, for you when they come across you.
Yeah. Or maybe they don't need you at that time either.
Exactly. They don't. And then suddenly the day will come where, like, you know what? I'm finally ready to create videos, or I'm finally ready to be more visible. And then right at that moment, they remember you because you've been visible, and adding value. And that's when the DM usually kicks in.
So that's amazing. So it's definitely consistency, patience as well. I think having that patience, not expecting just a video and then everything, oh, I've done some videos and now that's it, I'm known.
What's fascinating to me is because people always don't realize that you're connected to all these people on LinkedIn. How many of them do you actually know? And how many of them do you actually speak to regularly? And how many of them, you used to work with or knew you years ago and have no idea what your life is like now? So
Yeah.
LinkedIn has become this way of keeping people updated on what you're capable of. And just last year, or not last year, or maybe the year before, I just want to share this because it just blew me away. In the same year, I had 3 inquiries come through LinkedIn. One came through someone I had worked with 17 years ago.
No way.
17 years ago, who DM'd me and said, oh, we're working with a client in Dubai, and based on the videos I can see on your LinkedIn, it looks like you're now doing more in the coaching, personal branding space. Would you be happy to support us with this client? Yeah, no, that converted, became a client.
Wow.
I had a second one pop up who'd worked with me, I think it was 12 years ago. 12 years ago, same thing. Hadn't spoken to them, hadn't seen them. Same thing, DM, based on your LinkedIn,
No
we're now
way.
a government entity on a broadcast project, and I can see you've been in this space. So to me, whenever that happens, that just reaffirms that
Yes.
17 years, 12
Yeah.
years, like these,
Yeah.
it's
Actually,
not new people. Sometimes you're actually speaking to people who've been in your network all along.
that's so true. And actually that happened to me. somebody just contacted me. They've been watching me for like 4 or 5 years, and it was the same thing. Somebody who I used to teach with years ago, and he just got in touch, and I thought, oh, okay, yeah, you never know, do you? But you've got to be there. If you're not visible, then you're
Not
out.
visible, you're invisible. It's that simple.
No, you're right. You're right. It's patience, though, isn't it? Because it's very easy to give up. Because I know people who they try and it's okay, that didn't work. But you're right. How long? You don't know how long it's going to take, actually, do you? Because everybody, it's different for them.
You have no idea, and you never know where it's going to come in from. And that's the other thing I want to mention is, there's a whole world of people, and I'm saying this, I'm speaking specifically right now to people who have any cultural objections, right? Just for a minute, because like I am a Muslim Arab female who grew up thinking, I'm being told and saying like putting yourself out there is like, for any Arab audience watching, is like aib, which means it's like wrong. It's a wrong thing to do. Or you're being told hayatuk ain, which means they're going to give you the evil eye. So it's like all these stigmas behind putting yourself out there. And I think, you need to just get over it. Like just push yourself out there, because everyone has value, everyone has knowledge, and it's just about embracing it, sharing it. There's someone out there who's ready to learn from you. And if anything, sometimes it's people who you used to be. So it's like people who are behind you on the journey are always ready to learn from you. So you need to just buck up and do it, and do your best at ignoring the naysayers.
Yes.
Your voice.
And keep going. And I think, that's a really important point to make, is not to listen to other people, because it can have an impact, can't it? They say, oh, look, it's not working. Why are you wasting your time? I've had that, especially about the lives. So many people have said, why do you do them? Like so many people, and so you really have to be.
You need to get to a space. You need to get to a space where, as long as you know why you're doing it, you have an objective. So your own objective. And second, as long as you're adding value or knowledge. If you're adding value, everything else doesn't matter. And the other thing I want to mention is there's a whole world of people who are very self-conscious and don't want to be on camera, don't want to put themselves out.
That's what I was going to say as well. Yeah.
It's like, oh, I don't know, I don't feel comfortable today. Oh, I need to put my makeup on. Oh, I don't feel. You know what? Who cares? I actually don't want to work with someone if that's the reason they're watching this video. Likely not, but that's not the reason, right? I want to work with people who they've taken something away, they want to grow, and they see me as a partner for them to work with. No one is watching this video going, oh my God, she's getting very gray. There are more gray hairs there today than there were yesterday. As long as you've taken something valuable away from this, then that's enough. So I think start focusing on content and message and having that one key takeaway versus any of the aesthetics, whether it be the location you're in, what you're wearing, how you look. All of these other things are distractions. It all comes down to the content and the message.
Oh my God, I love that. Because I was thinking about that. How important is the background? How important is what you're wearing? All of those things. So actually, it's not, is it?
I really, there are two, as I said at the start, there's a place for both. If you're trying to attract a high-end client for a specific purpose and your objective is to work with them, have a nice, polished, well-produced. But if you are, trying to connect with people, if, you're in a coaching program, so for me, more people are going to connect with me on this and just being more live and personal, and I'm at home and I'm like pretty casual versus something that's a lot more polished. So it really depends on what your objective is and who you're trying to reach.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Reem. This has been such an amazing call. I could ask you questions all day, but we only have 30 minutes. So is there anything else you want to say before we go? Like maybe if people are just watching this and think, I don't know where to start. Like, where do I start? Is there anything you can say to them and anything else before we go?
I think prove me right and prove that you found me on LinkedIn and DM me, because I'm fairly responsive and I'd love to chat and see how we can support you. We do run a number of workshops which are really popular, and they're popular because I believe they're transformational. They do get you out of your shell. They do get you started, get you in front of a camera, figuring out your strategy. And even for many, actually, we've gone into the presenting space. So we've got workshops that help people who want to become TV presenters, because obviously I do a lot in the TV world. Whatever it is, it all starts with a DM. So DM me and I would love to support you and take it from there.
Amazing. No, I'm interested as well. But on the post, can you put all of your links as well? So people can just click on the link and then they can find out all of the information and your Instagram and everything. No, thank you so much, Reem. It's been an absolute pleasure. And for everybody else who's been watching, if you have any questions, please directly message Reem or on the post as well. That's absolutely fine. And yeah, thank you so much, Reem. It's been amazing. And I'll see everybody else next week.
Thank you so much.